In this video, I am going to show you what is MCP server and how you can develop a simple MCP server of your own. So an MCP server, the full form of MCP is Model Context Protocol. It's a specialized server that acts as bridge between AI models and external data source or tools. So here it's a connectivity link between the AI models like LLM models and the tools which it requires. It's essentially a backend service that allows AI models to utilize, access, interact with the real world beyond their training data. So here I'll show you the design, how it looks like before MCP and after MCP. Now here we see there is an LLM. Now you can see before MCP, this LLM is interacting directly with the other interfaces like Slack, Drive, GitHub, etc. Now, after introducing MCP, we have a middle layer called as Model Context Protocol. So here it may have a unique APIs. Here also we have unique APIs, but from MCP to LLM, we have a unified API. So this makes the life of LLM easier because now after MCP, it doesn't need to interact with separately with the interfaces or the tools, but it can interface via MCP, and the interface between MCP and LLM is unified. So it acts as a kind of connecting link between LLM and the tools. Now let's see a example how to create a MCP server of your own. So I have created a document. So here I've listed out the steps. So we are going to use a UV, which is a kind of a package manager similar to your pip. So we will first install UV. Now, there are different ways of installing UV. You can either use the install script, or if you are using Mac OS or Linux, you can use this brew install UV. So let me quickly show you. In my case, it is already installed. I will just use brew install UV. So here it says it is already installed and up to date. Now I can check the version of UV. Okay, it is showing 0.5.26. Okay. Now, after installing UV, so this is a one-time job. We don't need to do it again and again. Now, this is like whatever I'm showing, most of these things are one time. Now, create directories for your MCP server and workspace. Now, here what we are doing is we are creating the directory structure for MCP servers and workspace. Now, here we are using mkdir-p tilde MCP slash server slash terminal server. Here tilde indicates the home directory. So in my case, um, the home directory is users and the name of the. So for example, I'll show you CD, and when I do pwd, this is my home directory. So in your case, the home directory can be different. So within this home directory, there is a common folder called MCP, and under that MCP folder, we have two more folders called servers and workspace. And here servers, we have one MCP server. The name of the MCP server is terminal underscore server. And workspace is like a common area that can be used by the MCP servers for doing something. So this structure, you can see it is created under servers. Under MCP folder, we have servers and workspace. And this MCP folder is there in the home directory. Now this terminal underscore server, whatever you see here, this is the MCP server. So here we can have multiple MCP servers under this servers folder. Now we need to go into the terminal server MCP server folder. So for this, we'll just cd into this one. So when I do pwd, okay, cd this one. When I do pwd, you can see this is my home directory. Under home directory, this is the path of my MCP server. That is where this code lies. Now, first thing we need to do is we need to initialize the project. So for that, we use uv space init. So after using this, it will create the directory structure. After that, we have to use create a virtual environment so that this environment will be separate from the other environments. So it requires the isolation. So for that, we have to use UV space VENV, that a virtual environment will be created. And we need to activate the virtual environment by using this one. So after activating the virtual environment, we need to install the libraries. Just like you have pip install, here it is, we are using UV add and name of the library. So I'll run it once again. It is already installed. So you can see the packages are already installed. Now these steps, whatever I've shown till now, they are the common steps. You don't need to repeat it again and again. Okay, you have to repeat it in case you are creating a new virtual environment, but otherwise it will be same. Now, this is the code file that is specific to this terminal server. So terminal server is the MCP server, which will allow the LLM to execute some commands on the local machine, like this machine on this Mac machine. And in workspace folder, there is a workspace folder that is created. So whatever will happen in this folder. So this is like your sandbox wherein you can create a folder, you can create a file, you can insert contents in the file. Now all this you can do it with the help of LLM. Now this LLM, so we can interact with the LLM by using natural language text. We don't have to give a specific command. This will be handled internally. Now let's see what is the content of this terminal underscore server.py. So here, this is the library related to MCP. Now we are instantiating this MCP server called terminal. And here we are specifying the default workspace. So this is the folder in which all the work will happen, like whatever you want to create a folder, file, etc. So you can see it is in the home directory /MCP/workspace. So this is what you see here. This is the workspace folder I'm referring to. Okay. Now this folder, so this is the code. Here you can see there is a function called run underscore command. Now here we are mentioning like comments to the MCP, run the terminal command inside the workspace directory, at this directory. If the terminal command can accomplish a task, tell the user you will use this tool to accomplish it, even though you cannot directly do it. So basically what it says is you use this as the folder, and if you can accomplish a task, you say that you can do it. Okay, now here it is mentioned, even though you cannot directly do it, MCP server may not be able to do it, but the commands inside it will do it. So here, if you see, there is a command called subprocess.run. Here we are executing the command. Okay. So the command, whatever is coming, that is coming here. And this CW is a current working directory. The current working directory is this directory. That is workspace directory. That is this directory. So whatever I'll do, that will fall in workspace directory. Now, okay. So configure the MCP. So I will just repeat the steps once again. First step is installing the UV. Second, creating the directory structure. Then we are just following some steps like init, creating virtual environment, and then creating this terminal server file that we have just seen. In terminal server file, we are showing the path, the workspace path, as well as so workspace path, and we are executing the command using subprocess.run. This is a unique like Python command. Okay. Now this is one part of it. Now we need to configure the MCP client. So here, so we have created an MCP server. Now we need a client. So for client, you can use IDE, or the easiest way is you can use your Claude Desktop as your IDE. So you might be knowing of a cloud, just like your ChatGPT. They also provide a tool called as Cloud Desktop that you can download it from the internet. So for example, this is here you can download for any version of OS, Mac OS, Windows, etc. I have already downloaded. This is my Cloud Desktop. Now there is a configuration file. So now I want to let this Cloud Desktop know about my server. So Now let's see how we will let this client know about the server, because we need to mention the path, etc. So now let me, there is a, this file is automatically created when you install this Cloud Desktop for the first time and enable it. So this is the file. You can see this is the path under which this file exists. So it is in home directory, library, application support, and so on. I'll just show you the this file. So I'll just clear previous one. So I'll say cat and this path. Okay, it is not showing. Let me just quickly try. Okay, so I think it is already in the virtual environment. That is why this is not showing, but I'll show you directly. So if you want to see the configuration file, you need to go into the settings of this. So for example, I'll go to the settings of this app. So here, you need to go to the developer. Under developer, you have something called edit config. Now this is the file that I am referring to. You can open with any editor. So for example, I'll open with the VS Code. So this is the file that I am referring to. Now this is the file which tells your client, that is your Cloud Desktop, about your MCP server. So here there is only one MCP server, so I'm mentioning that. If you have multiple MCP servers, you have to mention the details about that MCP servers. Now let's see what all details we have provided here. Here, this is the UV command that is required, because the command that you run to start the server is UV space run space terminal underscore server. So that command we need to run, UV space run space and the name of this file. The file is terminal underscore server. Now here, even though we run this command, but we need to give the absolute path of UV. Now, how will you know the absolute path of UV? So UV, it is already there, which you can check with UV version. Now to get the absolute path of UV in Mac or Linux, you can use which UV. So this is the path of the UV. UV is a package installer, or, or package manager. Now I am mentioning that here, this path. Okay, UV path is done. Now I need to tell where this terminal underscore server is there. If I directly run it, it may not run. So here you can see this is the path under which your terminal server is there. You can just copy this path and then paste it here. So you get the terminal server path. That is this serve terminal server. And under that path, which file should be run? This is the file terminal underscore dot server dot py. So the command that will run is uv space run space terminal underscore server dot py. So this will be run, so that now this server will be interacting with the Cloud Desktop. Now let's see how to use this server to do something in this workspace directory. Now this workspace directory has one file. I will just delete it, make it clean. Okay, now what I'll do, so I will go to, say, new conversation. Here I will say create a file sample.txt with the content. Yeah, this is my first MCP terminal server, something like this. Now here I'm giving all the information in a natural text. What it will do is it will create this file. Where it will create? It will create in the workspace folder, because that is what we have mentioned here. We mentioned uh, in the code, in the terminal server run code, that is here we mentioned the path, this workspace. Okay. And then what I'm saying is not only create the file, you also insert this text. Okay. So I will just run this. Let's see what happens here. So now it is doing something. See, now it has invoked the MCP server. Run underscore command is the name of the MCP server. It says the file has been created successfully. The content with this content. Now you can verify it was created using ls or cat. Either I can check here. See, this is the file that is created. This was not there earlier. You can check through the terminal also. You do ls. We need to go to the workspace directory. Okay, so I think there is some problem with this terminal. But here you can see this sample file is created. Now let me do something. I will say delete this sample.txt. Now it is there. I'm saying delete this. Let's see what happens. So I will go to Cloud Desktop again. I will say delete the sample.txt just created. So I will mention something before deleting the file, copy the contents of the file to another file, backup.txt. So I'm saying delete it, but I'm saying before deleting the file, copy the contents of this file, whatever contents are there. These are the contents of this file. This I'm saying copy it to another file called backup_txt. So let's see what happens. So it is invoking this MCP server. Okay. It has copied the contents to backup and then deleted it. Let's see what happens here. See, the earlier file is removed and now a new file is created with the same content. Now you can try many things. Say I want to create a folder. Okay. So I'll say create a folder. See, you need to understand whatever we are doing here, that everything will be done in the workspace directory only. It will not go beyond that because that is what we have mentioned in the code of the terminal server. If you mention some other path, it will work for some other path also. Create a folder. So I'm saying just create this folder. I love MCP server. Let's see what happens. Okay, successfully created. Let's see. See, this is a folder that is created. Now I will say move this backup_text to this folder. Move the file backup.txt to this folder. So here I am not mentioning the name of the folder. It should understand. Okay, let's see if it is doing. Yes, done. See, the backup was earlier outside. Now it is within this folder. That is I love MCP server. Now you can ask any type of question related to like executing some commands and so on. So in this demo, what we have seen is we have seen a simple MCP server, but before creating that MCP server, we have created like installed the package manager UV and then created the directory structure, initialize the UV, then created the virtual environment, and after that we have created a terminals_server.py which has the code related to that MCP server. Now this MCP server we are integrating with the Cloud Desktop with the help of a config.json file that you can get it here from settings. If you go to settings of this app, here you get the under developer. And you can also see in case you want to see the MCP servers that are already there, then you can see here. So for example, under this local MCP servers, you have this already there. And if suppose there are more MCP servers, they will be listed here. And if you want to delete it, you can delete it from here also. Or you can edit the configuration. So thank you for watching this video.